Just before you start, I don't have the button to share my presentation on the top bar. Oh,
You don't?
I've got it. It's all right.
Oh, sorry.
Forget that. Forget that. I've got it.
Good.
Microsoft changed the menu options.
Okay. Good.
Only a little bit of panic there.
Yeah. I didn't do anything.
We'll just wait 30 more seconds just to let the last few people come in from their previous meetings. Right. Okay. We will. We'll make a start. So I'm going to share my screen, and hopefully I can do that. Okay, brilliant. Therese, can you just confirm you can see my screen?
Yeah. Yes, I can.
Brilliant. Okay, fab. Right. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for coming today. We're really excited to put this webinar together. From my perspective, as I'm Ferdy from the Yorkshire and Humber AHSN, and we've worked with Norwegian Smart Care Cluster, Danish Life Science Cluster, SweCare, and Business Region Gothenburg to bring you here today to hopefully give you an introduction to the UK market for health tech. So I'm just going to briefly talk through a tiny bit of housekeeping. As you can see, it's already being recorded. So just to let you know that we're recording this session. There's a bit of time at the end for some questions, but please do use the chat for any comments or questions you have. And while the speakers are speaking, please make sure your mic is muted. Thank you. I'm just going to introduce very quickly from the Yorkshire and Humber and then hand over to Therese from Norwegian Smart Care Cluster. And we then have four really exciting speakers. Jacqueline from the DIT, thank you so much for coming today. Then we've got Richard Evans from Leeds Teaching Hospitals. Tim East, who is my colleague at the Yorkshire and Humber AHSN, who's going to introduce the Nordic Propel Bootcamp itself. And then finally, Stein Auger, I hope I've pronounced that okay, from Smart Crowding to talk you through from an SME's point of view, the Propel Bootcamp and landing, I guess, landing in the UK. So there are 15 AHSNs across the UK, and we all form part of the AHSN network. And this was set up in 2013 to be the key innovation arm of the NHS. And really the purpose of the regional AHSNs is to understand the needs and the needs and desires of the NHS within our region, and then help them connect up with SMEs and innovations. So that's our sort of key ambition. And again, our mission is really spreading healthcare innovation at pace and scale. And there's a sort of key driver in connection with our international work in the bottom right there with stimulating economic growth. We're really keen to bring in international companies to support the NHS and to improve how care is delivered, really, at the end of the day. Just quickly to look at some of the impact that we've had as an AHSN. So over 200,000 patients have benefited from better care and safer care. We've been able to leverage millions of pounds of new investment, and we continue to do that every year. And in addition, pardon me, on the right-hand side there, you'll see that we've provided over 1,500 hours of support to nearly 300 companies through innovation surgeries. And really what I want to emphasize there is that we try and work with all SMEs who are looking at working in the UK and working in Yorkshire and Humber, to understand what are the things that we can do to support you to make sure that you're ready for those sales conversations, for those collaborations with the NHS, whether that's looking at regulations or market access or other things. Just in a little bit more detail, we can support with lots of different things, but often we work with companies on value proposition specific to the NHS, procurement support and regulatory work. So looking at things like DTAC, the Digital Technology Assessment Criteria, and making sure that digital products are ready and have everything in place to land in the UK and to get those first contracts. And as you can see, there are some other things as well that we support with. Over the last year, we've engaged with lots of international SMEs, whether that's through our Propel bootcamps, our Propel programs, or just one-to-one with companies. And we're really excited to continue that. With the Nordics, we were really delighted with how the first Propel bootcamp went at the start of this year, and it will be great to hear from Stein Auger at the end today about his experience. But we're just really excited to hopefully have a lot of you sign up and on board for our next program in 2024. And of course, those that bootcamp and all of this work is only because of the collaboration we have and the work we've done together with all of these organizations. And we're really happy that we have this really good relationship, and hopefully we're able to support an ongoing relationship through Propel bootcamps and other collaboration. But I'll just hand over to Therese now to talk from your perspective.
Yeah, hi, thanks. Thanks, Freddie. My name is Therese Oppegård, and I represent one of these Nordic partners that are happy to be in this project together with the team up in Yorkshire and Humber. So I am from the Norwegian Smart Care cluster, and I have two of my colleagues with me today. I can see at least we have Nanna Mortensen, who is from the Danish Life Science cluster, and then Anna Ribi from SweCare. So, and we also have our fourth partner in crime, who's called Iris Ørn, but I guess she's at the Bio Convention in Boston right now, so she couldn't attend. But point being that we are here to support any company from the Nordic region who are looking to take part in this program, the Propel program. We are supplementing the program that Tim is going to present later today with some activities that we provide from the Nordic side, some preparatory activities, and also some connection to the more of the national agency support system that can help you when you decide to go into the UK market. So please feel free to reach out to any of us. I will also add to the chat just a link to our interest scheme for the Propel program. So if you are ready to show your interest, you can just sign up there, and you'll receive information from us, and we will get in touch with you when time is in the right time is there. So yes, I guess we should just hand it over to our sort of first guest, Ferdy. So that's
Jacqueline, please share your slides, and we're
share my
excited to hear from you.
screen and hope that it works. Just give me a quick second. Okay, can everyone see that now?
Yeah, great.
Great, wonderful. Okay, so hi everybody, good afternoon, and I want to just firstly thank the whole Nordic Propel team, all of the partners for asking me to come and give this first little introductory overview to doing business in the UK, and really the UK opportunity for digital health and medtech companies. So my name is Jacqueline, and I work for the Department for Business and Trade, and I sit at the British Embassy in Stockholm, and there would be the equivalent of me in each of the Nordic countries. And we support all international companies looking to come and set up in the UK to grow there. And so some of that support is for large companies and large investments, but we also really want to support innovation and through brilliant programs like the Propel Bootcamp program and supporting SMEs such as yourselves. So yeah, I think today really I've got 15 minutes to convince you that the UK is a really great place for a Nordic company to go and set up. And I think that's sort of an easy sell in some way, really, because it's I mean, it's a really natural sort of place to think about when your company is ready to expand internationally. And I think, you know, the growth potential there has got to do with a number of things. A government committed to supporting this through grants and massive amounts of investment, but a dedicated infrastructure, access to talent and to a workforce, a really unique system that you enter into, and then ability to be able to expand further. And I think, you know, on top of that, it's really just that it's a really easy place to do business. It has a really great regulatory system, environment, and it's easy to access. I've written that there's 7 direct destinations from Sweden, and I have to check and see exactly how many there are from Norway as well. I should have added that. So it's an easy place to access and a great place to grow. It's the 6th largest economy in the world, 67 million people, so a little larger than the Nordics. And I mean, what's really nice about it, it's an open liberal economy and it's a high spending consumer market. That's really kind of the key thing that I think about when we think about the UK. It is one of the simplest countries in the world to set up a business and to also to run one. A regulatory and legal structures there that just make it a really safe place to do business, and where you can feel confidence in growing there. So yeah, I mean, I think when we talk about the government commitment to growth, 600 billion over the coming 5 years or something from the UK government. So it really is a massive sort of push from the government to want to push growth, and a large part of that will be in the life science and healthcare industry. So I'll move on to say EU exit. It happened. Brexit, it's something that we all think about still, I think. Some things became more difficult. Hiring people has become slightly more complicated with the visa regimes now in place. I'll talk about that a bit more later. Business travel has changed, so you need to see it a little more like the US now, is the same sort of level that you might have been if you consider traveling there. But one thing I wanted really to note now that happened just in March this year, very exciting, the end of the Northern Ireland Protocol, and instead the Windsor Framework has come into place, which essentially means that if your business ends up setting up in Northern Ireland, that essentially you have unrestricted market access to the whole of Great Britain, and also the same unrestricted access into the EU. So that's, I think, been a really key step forward, and I think the government really remains committed to ironing out all of those other challenges around this, and we'll talk about, as I said, yeah, visas a bit later. So medtech, the UK, of course, is a leader in this area, and there's over 4,000 medtech and digital health, which is included into medtech in the UK anyway, businesses all over the 4 different nations. 90 billion in turnover, and of those, of the 4,000 companies, 80% of those are SMEs like yourselves. And I think the map on the left is interesting because it really is, I think, a great sort of picture to show just how much turnover value and employment there exists outside of those regions like London and the Southeast. In fact, it's over half of all people employed in this industry are outside of that Southeast region. And the Yorkshire and Humber region, you can see there, 2 billion turnover and employs 10% of the total medtech workforce. So a really, really vibrant part of the UK. The NHS spends 10 billion a year on medtech generally. That includes digital health, and their real key priorities are right products to be used in the right places at the right prices, essentially. And if you can meet those, then you really do have an opportunity. The top 3 segments at the moment are single-use technologies. So that's consumables, really, like syringes, for example, and everything that goes along there. Digital health being second, and then in vitro diagnostics is the other major one there. And I think what sort of really pushed those, particularly digital health, into the stratosphere has really been the tech boom in the UK over the last 2 decades, which has improved internet access, cloud servers and all the rest of it, has really made it a much easier place for companies with these sorts of solutions to thrive and grow. So the opportunity for medtech and digital health in the UK is of course huge, and I think one of the key reasons is, of course, the National Health Service, serving those 67 million people. It's the largest single-payer healthcare system on earth. And it's also a brilliant place to be a test bed for you to either develop a product or to test if it works, or to be able to develop evidence to prove to a region that it works. And so there's an entire dedicated infrastructure for the research and development. There are agencies that work right the way across to support every single part of that process, to streamline market entry. And there's also really just an amazing commercial sector with medtech clusters right the way across the UK, and really offering affordable location options for any size company. And the final thing, of course, is the government commitment to that innovation. There was 14 million awarded recently to 11 medtech and in vitro diagnostics cooperatives that support companies just like yours. I think, the sector deals and life science vision has already led to 3 billion in investment. So there is just a huge commitment to this sector in the UK. I'm not going to talk about the NHS today because you've got someone coming after me to do so. I just wanted to show this slide because you can see the entire UK map, and that the NHS is split up into the different nations. So England, of course, being the largest, and then also Scotland, Northern Ireland and Wales. And just to note that they do run slightly differently in the way that they are managed and how to have your things commissioned. And I think you'll learn definitely more about that later on. The other overview picture I wanted to show was this one. It's a bit scary. I was trying to think, like, how could I find a diagram that would really show the setup of what it actually looks like. And I found this diagram. I think it's actually pretty good. You can dive into it later. It comes from a really great report that's referenced that you can look through. Essentially, the reason why I want to mention this to you is that in England last year, there was a huge overhaul, and that now a number of the old sort of setups of management were disbanded, and instead England is now run in 42 integrated care systems that cover the whole of England. And the whole idea of this is that these integrated care systems should be responsible for planning and delivery of all the care needed for the people in that region. And that includes both the NHS, which provides healthcare, and also local authorities, so as to say councils. There's 152 of them in England that are responsible for providing social care, aged care, and other social services to the population of people. And what will happen now is that they're all supposed to be working together in these integrated care systems. And the providers that provide the care are NHS trusts, of course, that provide care, but also private providers of services and also charities and so on. So everyone can come in under providers. And so the question would be you as a medtech or as a digital tech company, how are you going to move into this and support the NHS in being one of these providers to sort of support and where are you going to fit in here? And that brings me to this slide. The AHSN networks are your friends. There are 15 of them, as Ferdinand has already mentioned. Their whole entire job is to connect you, industry, with the NHS and to help the NHS to well, to innovate and to continue to provide the best care possible for its population. And the Yorkshire and Humber AHSN, which you can see up here in the top northern region of England, if I can get my little pointer to work, is really absolutely, not even just because of this program, in my opinion, the most innovative and international facing region in the UK. And I think this Nordic Propel Bootcamp is just a brilliant opportunity for companies to be able to engage with the NHS in this brilliant region in a really meaningful way. I was lucky enough to be part of that in 2023 and yeah, saw real value for companies. So happy to be back this year. And I guess, yeah, this is like, why invest in the UK, you know? Well, this slide, I hope, can kind of explain that, I think, in one slide. To me, it's because the UK is a market that is going to help you to bring value fast and to be able to get your products to market quickly and to then grow quickly. It has capability and excellence and opportunities the entire way along the supply chain, everything, or the value chain, everything from access to funding. It's something we can absolutely support you with. 20 billion in life sciences capital raised in 2020, and that continues to grow. If it's a research excellence and contact to top universities. Data and AI is a huge thing now for digital health and medtech companies. Third globally for AI capability, but just a brilliant infrastructure and setup there for that. If it's clinical trials, then of course that we have a lot there. Maybe not so interesting for you guys, but certainly strength of regulatory institutions and the MHRA and so on, NICE, makes a really great environment for companies to engage and grow. And then market entry and, of course, export. So, yeah, I think more than anything, it's about the environment. It's about the community. I think you turn up into the UK and you enter into this community of investors and customers and collaborators and innovation partners and other companies that are doing what you're doing. And it is just so vibrant and so much going on and enough space for everybody. I think that's sort of the real cool thing about it. It's a great launch pad if you want to look at going internationally thereafter. The UK has an amazing brand, and companies that are succeeding in the UK often succeed elsewhere really easily. Export is, of course, another one. If you've got a physical thing that you want to export, then we have a huge amount of support for that. And of course, ease of access in and out of the UK. I wanted to put up this slide because I wanted to say that, you know, no matter where you are, I don't know all the companies on this call exactly where you are, if you've still got some development to go for your product or if you've already got fully developed products, but no matter where you are, the UK offers you something of how you can engage. Everything from really, really early stage with the National Institute for Health Research, all the way up into the AHSNs that can support with adopting your technology into the NHS or into the private sector if that's where it belongs. And of course, really supported at the bottom by these regulators and sort of guidance groups, NICE, MHRA, and the Care Quality Commission. Yeah, homegrown talent, of course, is another one. We always talk about how many top universities there are in the UK. And I mean, that's fine. It's really, really, I mean, it's great. If you're looking to develop evidence, if you want to find a clinical opinion leader, if you want to find or an academic opinion leader, if you want to find you know, someone that's got expertise within something that you don't know about, I mean, you will find it in the UK system. And I think a key thing here is really 50,000 biological science and health graduates in 2022, or pretty much every year. It's just a massive pool of people to fill up and work for the types of organizations and that you have. And I would say also that the number of graduate degrees are increasing, so hopefully more and more PhDs and so on. On top of that, and this has a little bit to do with EU exit, attracting talent, of course, global mobility visa, amazing. And really, we've got a whole complete setup. Happily to talk to you more about that. But really, it's happening quickly. 24 to 48 hours, employers are able to get answers on work visas and so on. So happy to talk to you more about that. It's really easy to open up a company if you want to do that. It costs £12 and it takes a day on Companies House. And that's way down the line, I think, for you. But just to let you know, it's something we can absolutely advise you on when it comes to that point. The UK financial setup is really fairly good. It has a fairly low corporation tax, less than US, no dividend withholding tax, which is great if paying out dividends. And if you're doing R&D, 14% cashback refundable in your pocket every year for the R&D that you conduct in the UK. On top of that, you've got patent box regimes and so on, a number of different things there within R&D support that I'd happily talk to you more about. Yeah, final thing I'm going to say, because I'm going over time, living in the UK, it's modern, it's progressive, it's opportunistic, it's much quicker decision making than in the Nordic countries, which is great. There's a real sort of bold and risk-taking feeling there, and I think, you know, the Nordic countries and the Brits view each other with a great deal of fondness, and that makes it a really, really great place, I feel like, for companies to expand to. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So Department of Business and Trade, we support you with all of these things. All of our support is free and confidential. And for SMEs, one of the most important things we do is to support programs, just like the Propel Bootcamp, which you're going to hear much more about now. So yeah, get in touch and see you around.
Thank you so much, Jacqueline. That was brilliant. Yeah, really, really insightful. And if you have any questions, as I said, please put them in the chat, and there might be a bit of time at the end. But I'm sure we can connect you afterwards if you do. And if you're not sold on why to export to the UK yet, we'll now hand over to Richard Evans from Leeds Teaching Hospitals to talk a bit about the NHS and why it's the place to go. Richard, you're still muted.
Thank you very much, Ferdy. And I must apologise, first of all, that I seem to have found myself in a location with some construction going on in the background. So apologies if there's a little bit of background noise. Hopefully you can see my slides okay. So I'm Richard Evans, Head of Business Development and Innovation at the Leeds Teaching Hospitals NHS Trust, and just going to give you a brief presentation today on our trust, our support to research and innovation, and the exciting innovation and estates development work in particular that we have going on at the moment, and also how we support SMEs, both local, national and international, with testing, evaluation, adoption of new health technologies within the NHS. So first slide, just a little bit about who we are. So we are one of the largest teaching hospitals in Europe, and you see some of the stats here on the screen. We were formed back in 1998, although we have a large history and a long history going back to the 18th century. So if you do get a chance to visit, we'll tell you all about that. We provide specialist services for people across Leeds, Yorkshire and the Humber region. And we have a combined budget across the trust of £1.4 billion, employ over now 21,000 staff, treat over 1.7 million patients a year. You see these stats are already out of date, and across 7 hospital sites across Leeds. So I mentioned the exciting sort of new developments going on at the moment, and this is really to highlight that we're one of 40 sites as part of the UK government's new hospital building programme. Leeds is going to be one of 8 Pathfinder trusts in the new build phase of the programme, which has just recently been confirmed by the UK government this week, which is really exciting news. So we can actually get started now with the next stages of that. In Leeds, we're building a new Leeds General Infirmary, which includes a new site for our children's hospital, a new adult hospital, and a new midwifery unit, which in fact will create the UK's largest single-site maternity centre on site in Leeds, a total square footage, a meterage of 94,000 square metres. And of course, really focuses our future agenda, particularly around innovation, new digital technologies to create those hospitals of the future, and very much a part of that, making sure they are also sustainable. At the same time as those new estate developments, we're also, alongside the new hospitals, creating an innovation village in Leeds that will generate 4,000 new jobs. And an economic boost of over £13 billion to our region. And you see this journey will take place over the next sort of 7 years or so. The first part of that has actually started with this creating the innovation pop-up based at the Leeds General Infirmary site, which we launched back in August of 2021. That's actually just recently been refurbished, as you see on the pictures there, to create a new digital skills training centre. Very much a collaboration space also for collaborating with SMEs, particularly with a view to aiding that objective of testing, evaluating and adopting new technologies in the NHS. So this is a new collaborative centre which has been sponsored by our own hospital charity, Fujitsu and Intel, so really exciting stuff. The next stage in that, like I mentioned before, is we're going to recreate our old medical school to be an innovation hub, creating over 300 jobs in health technologies, and this will all start when our pathology staff who are currently resident in that building and move to a new laboratory at St James's Hospital, just a couple of miles down the road from me here later on this year. So you can see we've got a lot of exciting programmes of work coming up in research and new hospitals across Leeds. So Leeds itself, shortened here to LTHT, Leeds Teaching Hospitals Trust, is in itself a research delivery powerhouse. And I know that's been mentioned, in particular, the support from the NIHR towards this. We've been amongst the top 5 recruiting trusts in the country to NIHR-sponsored studies over the past 5 years. And in fact, we were the top acute trust in England for patient recruitment in 2021 and 22. And you can see again, we have a large number of live clinical innovation and research projects underway at any one time. And we have a range of infrastructure to support research and innovation across the trust, which in turn supports across the region and also on an international basis too. So I'd just like to focus on a little bit of that infrastructure that we have, if that's okay. So the first of which is our clinical research facility in Leeds, which operates on a hub and spoke model across 5 sites and has recently received £8.7 million of funding from the NIHR for the next 5 years. And, you know, this may be actually of help to those of you developing new innovations in the fields of medical devices, artificial intelligence, biological therapies, pharmaceutical medicines, and advanced therapies. So very much focused on an early phase evaluation of those type of technologies. So we're really pleased to host that, and that's massive, 10 times the amount of funding that we've received for the next 5 years. Likewise, slides will move on. We also host an NIHR biomedical research facility. Again, has just been funded to the tune of just under £20 million from the NIHR, and that focuses around research and innovation in the fields of MSK, surgical technologies, hematology, cardiometabolic diseases, pathology, and antimicrobial resistance. And you can see we're one of around, I think, 15 centres across the UK. And again, that's a fourfold increase in funding this year to our Biomedical Research Centre. Sorry, I think my internet connectivity is slightly slowed down, so if you bear with me while my next slide comes up. Okay, I think again, it was mentioned before that Leeds also hosts 2 other NIHR-funded research infrastructure. One is the MedTech In Vitro Diagnostic Cooperative, which drives the development of new in vitro diagnostics and tests those within the NHS. And likewise, we also host a surgical-focused MedTech cooperative, part of the same programme, and this is around developing new surgical medical technologies across the NHS as well. Before I sort of move to focus on our support to SMEs, particularly in innovation, the last thing in Leeds that I wanted to highlight is something called our National Pathology Imaging Consortium, which is a £50 million programme. There we go, that's being led by Leeds Teaching Hospitals to digitise pathology services across the UK and also develop new artificial intelligence programmes to aid the diagnosis of patients across areas like cancer. This in particular includes a collaboration with Genomics England across the UK. And in particular, that has started with digitising all of the samples from the UK 1,000 genomes, 100,000 genomes project. So we're particularly proud of this £50 million programme. So anyone working in the sort of pathology, imaging, artificial intelligence space, you might want to get in touch with us about how we might be able to collaborate with you. Okay, so overall, just to kind of a few slides around how we support innovation in particular, and a little bit about our ambitions in Leeds, which is very much about being global leaders in the translation, adoption, scaling and spread of new health tech innovation, and being really a key partner, a compelling destination, if you like, for new healthcare talent, academia, and in particular, partnerships with industry and SMEs. So we're very much focused on enabling innovation, ideation, translation of new technologies, and really trying to move the needle on the faster process of adopting them within the NHS. And actually, interestingly, we're involved in a national NHS England programme called Insights, which is 10 NHS sites across the country getting together to try and support faster adoption of new technologies. So again, I think we're in a good place to work with SMEs on that front. So the innovation pop-up is very much how we do this, and we think this makes us a good partner for SMEs, like I say, on both a local, national and international basis. This is very much that first phase towards that innovation village of the future. Maybe just highlighting those few areas of particular focus of, it's helping us locally to develop that innovation culture within the organisation, particularly focused around those new hospitals. It's a safe space, really, on site, on an NHS site, where clinical staff can work collaboratively with businesses and others involved in innovation, which is not often a space that you see across the NHS. So we think this is somewhat unique across the UK. It's a true test bed, which I think was mentioned before, and NHS is in general a test bed for the evaluation and piloting of new technologies. And, our facility here, we feel, is very much addressing some of those barriers to innovation adoption across the NHS. So, like I'll say at the end, please do get in touch with us. And these are some of the things on the slide here that we can actually do to support SMEs developing new products and technologies. So perhaps given time just to touch on a few of these, it's very much about we're that front door to innovation in the organisation to connect businesses to LTHT clinical staff for the co-development and evaluation of new tech. And like I say, moving that through and advising on procurement pathways so it can get adopted within the NHS. We can help you understand unmet needs across the NHS, from the basis of being one of the largest teaching hospitals in Europe. So very much, we can advise on what our digital strategies are and what our operational transformation programs are across the organisation that perhaps you can provide solutions to. Engagement with patients, you need patients and user input to develop technologies. Well, we have a large number of PPIE groups across the organisation and leads working across this from the research and innovation department. So again, we can connect you with those type of groups to support development of your products. Interests in providing better access to data. Again, I know that was mentioned before. We have a specific team here in Leeds called our Audit team, which helps researchers and companies extract data for research purposes, and particularly things like training artificial intelligence algorithms. It kind of goes through the delivery of clinical trials through our NIHR-funded infrastructure like the Clinical Research Facility and the BRC, alongside also training in clinical research. And we have an academy which trains our staff, and some projects that can link to industry partners where we can give greater insight into really an understanding of the NHS landscape and the factors that influence adoption. At this stage, and I know lots of sources of support have already been mentioned, I just wanted to flag up one in particular, which is from the Accelerated Access Collaborative. It's called the Health Technology Pathway. You might find this useful because it's an interactive tool that really takes you through and highlights all of the key steps in a health tech products development, right from creation to commissioning and adoption. And I've just noted some of the sort of key points along the side there that we can actually support with from an NHS perspective, understanding unmet needs, creating and inputting into your value proposition, running clinical trials to generate the evidence that you need, getting patient involvement, getting procurement advice and involvement for you to help adoption, not only here, but across a wider footprint. So just wanted to finish off just 1 minute, if that's okay, just to explain that we're very keen to work with international SMEs. And you see in the sort of hexagons here that we already have existing relationships with Nordic countries, gateways with Israel, entrepreneur programs with Spain, connectivity with the US, Estonia, India, to name but a few. And we really want to support international companies landing in Leeds. We really think it strengthens our offer for our patients and outcomes for our patients, and improves our service efficiencies, and of course drives local economic growth and inward investment. This is just an example we've worked also with Norway Health Tech as an organisation, and also established relationships with Oslo University Hospital, creating a bit of a bridge really for companies in Norway to come and collaborate with the Leeds innovation ecosystem. We hosted 2 delegations over the past 2 years, most recently in March of this year, a Growing Leeds Norway Health Tech Partnerships event. So I really just wanted to sort of share this with you to showcase that we are really outward looking and really keen to support international SMEs in particular, some of which from Norway in particular have become our innovation pop-up member companies. So naming Roommate, Ladidi and Imartis as a couple of examples. So just to finish, this is not just about LTHC as a large NHS provider. And likewise, we are one of many NHS providers across the UK. This is also about how we work in partnership with the AHSN, and we fully support the AHSN's Propel programme. And likewise, there is a really key partnership working process in innovation across the Leeds City region. And you see here how we have those collaboration networks with the likes of the AHSN, NHSA, links with academia, particularly the University of Leeds, links with our local council and enterprise partnership and Leeds City Council, all of that NIHR infrastructure to support research and innovation that I've detailed, regional strengths across our system like NPIC, and likewise incubators in Leeds for businesses which you may be interested in particular, like Nexus Business Community Hub at the University of Leeds. So I'll end there because I could probably talk on for a lot longer. I hope you found that useful. I'm Richard Evans, Head of Business Development and Innovation. My email address is there if you want to get in contact. And of course, we'll share these slides with you as well afterwards. So if there is any questions for me, unfortunately, I do have to depart now, but I'm happy to receive questions via email afterwards, either through Ferdy or the rest of the team. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Richard. That was brilliant. I'm sure you'll be getting some emails through.
Thank you.
Thanks, Richard. Right, so moving on to Propel Bootcamp itself, and Tim East, the digital navigator here at the AHSN.
That's great. Thanks, Ferdy. So yes, the slides will appear in a moment. There they go. My name's Tim East. I'm the digital navigator. What that means is I basically lead on the program. So I'm going to go through the program and the different elements of it. So we work across 15 academic health science networks, and it's worth highlighting that we're the only one that's really providing this week content. So we see ourselves as leading the way in terms of providing support to international organisations like yourself. In terms of the benefit of the programme, it's really geared towards saving you time and money to make sure you understand the NHS, the market, and providing clarity on the fastest route to the market. We know that the NHS market is really complicated to navigate, to understand, but also to engage with. So they're the key areas that we aim to address during the programme. So you'll come over to Leeds. We have a week of masterclasses that are facilitated by knowledge experts such as Richard and his colleagues. And we also have a portfolio of partners that will provide support, and we also have inroads into the NHS. As part of that week, we have a day of networking with the delivery partners and local NHS and key stakeholders. So you get some time to get some honest feedback in a safe environment. And then we also provide an element of support after the boot camp. So once you've attended, we'll leave you a month to sort of gather your thoughts and think about your next steps, and then we'll re-engage with you and get an understanding of what your steps are moving forward and how we can support you. We provide all the materials, the content, the venues during the day and refreshments. You've obviously just got to get here and get some accommodation. So we provide 5 key areas. So we provide quality content through the masterclasses, and that's where you're going to be learning how to enter the NHS. We're going to introduce you to the supporting partners. So these are organisations that will really help you along your roadmap and your journey into the NHS. We'll do introductions to the system, such as Richard and the Innovation Hub, and also our innovation hubs within the region. You'll get a taste of the local ecosystem and also get a good understanding of our organisation and how we support you moving forward. This basically demonstrates what we're looking for is technology which is either proven or has got traction in your home territory, where there's value to patients and clinicians. And, you know, without being selfish, we want to adopt that technology as well if it's going to bring benefits to our patients and clinicians. The unfortunate thing is, you know, yourselves compared to a UK innovator, you know, you don't have, or you don't have as rich networks or contacts or knowledge of the NHS. So on the left-hand side, that blue section for the Propel Bootcamp is really geared towards giving you a boost in those areas as fast as and effectively as possible, i.e. over a week, so that you're on the same level as a UK innovator that's in the health tech space. You know, you're still going to have to do the work. It's still a difficult market, but we're giving you an equal footing to a UK-based supplier. Richard mentioned roadmap. So this is the another roadmap. Principles are the same. An innovation pathway. So going from left to right to delivering to the NHS, and the whole program's geared around this. So it'll talk about how you navigate this roadmap. These are the 5 pillars of the program which it's based on. The masterclasses are fallout of this, so the masterclasses are all geared towards these specific areas. So making sure you understand the NHS at a national level, local level. What are the national programs? What are the local programs? What does the organisation landscape look like? How is it changing? So that's all geared around understanding the NHS. From a legal perspective, and we've mentioned it, or it was mentioned earlier about forming a company, all the legalities about company structure, employing people, data protection, dealing with patient data, intellectual property rights. So we cover a lot of the themes around that. Finance and funding. So, you know, how are you funding yourself today? How are you going to fund yourself moving forward? We'll introduce you to a partner, Barclays Eagle Labs, who's got an investment network which you can link into as well if required, and understanding how to pitch for funding if that's something you're interested in. Networking's a big part of the program, so linking you in with the local health tech ecosystem. So there's a really vibrant health tech sector within the Leeds and Yorkshire region, but also a tech sector which you'll get value from. We've mentioned, it was mentioned Nexus as a physical space. So there's, you know, if you want to land in Leeds, there is options for either remote desks, office space, etc. And then also growth and spread. So this is the 5th pillar, and that's all around, okay, what do you need to do to enter the UK market? So you're going to need to know governance, assurance, clinical safety. You know, how do you move forward to your first customer, first user, and move forward? So they're the 5 pillars of the program. And then that falls into the week program. So this is the plan, high level plan. Monday mornings all around us getting to know you and you getting to know the delivery partners and stakeholders in the program. And then we have a series of masterclasses covering growth and spread, evidence, governance, legal, funding and finance. Thursday's the pitching day, but also time for one-to-one time with the delivery partners, and then on Friday morning we'll be going to see Richard and the hospital and getting a presentation there. So yeah, in a nutshell, you're going to learn a lot. You're going to get some really good quality networks and contacts, build relationships, and also create a support network so that if you decide that the UK is right for you, then you'll have clarity on what your next steps are. I've mentioned the program's running collaboration with a number of delivery partners. So you'll get to know all these stakeholders, these organisations, what they do and how they can help you. And I'm going to quickly run through those organisations and stakeholders. Obviously, there's not going to be a test at the end, but it'll give you a flavour of the breadth of the programme. So the programme's headed up by Dr. Neville Young, who's our director, a lot of experience within the NHS. So he oversees the programme and provides support. You'll meet our team. So you've met Ferdy, there's myself, there's Diane, Richard and Amy. So we'll be there for the whole week helping you along the way. You'll meet Tom from Leeds City Regional Enterprise Partnership, and they help support organisations land within the Leeds system. And Dacha works at the Northern Powerhouse and can provide further support in that area. We mentioned Nexus, so this is the physical space that will actually be hosting the program, and you'll meet Barry and Nathan from there. You'll meet the colleagues from Hill Dickinson, so this is the legal firm, and they're going to do a session on the legal aspects. You'll meet Dawn from Barclays Eagle Labs, and that's your route into finance and funding. You've already met Richard. Richard's got a couple of colleagues and they work in the innovation pop-up, so you'll meet them. You'll be introduced to an organisation called Orca. So these are the guiding light around governance, clinical safety, and they'll provide support around that. So you'll meet Ryan. YHEC is an organisation that provides support around evidence and evaluation. So we'll tell you what you need to do around that and meet Nick and colleagues from them. And then we've got an organisation called 6B, which is an organisation that supports integration into NHS systems. So you may find that your product may need to integrate into either patient records or various data sets, and 6B provides that support. And then we also work with another company called CDS that provides user-centric design and helps you minimize health inequalities. So I think this is just a taster of, you know, the people, the interactions you're going to get for the week. Obviously, as I've said, it's not a test, but hopefully it'll give you confidence in the breadth and depth of the program that we cover in a week. And you will be tired at the end of it, but you will have learned a lot and gained some quality contacts. So,
Tim,
yeah.
Sorry, I know you're near the end. Do you mind just wrapping up in the next 30
Yeah, that's
seconds?
it. That's fine. Last slide. That's it from me. Thank you.
Sorry to do that right at the end of your presentation. Thank you,
It's all
Tim. And yeah, if you want to know more about the Propel Bootcamp, then please do register your interest with the link in the chat as well. But just following on from Propel, if I just hand over to Stein Orger to close us out, really, with his experience of Propel. There you are, Stein. Hiya.
Thanks. And hello to you all, and a special hello to everyone we met in Leeds in January. Very nice to meet you all again. I can just introduce our company, Smart Crowding. We participated 1 week bootcamp in Leeds in January. Our product is made in cooperation with Stavanger University Hospital, which is on the west coast of Norway, and easy access to fly to UK. We have developed a system that addresses overcrowding at hospitals. So we identify bottlenecks and we generate plans and activities to loosen up bottlenecks and get a flow through an hospital. Both an advantage for patients and not at least for health personnel. So that's a few words of the solution. We have had a very interesting and valuable bootcamp. We got a lot of good contacts, so the networking part was very, very valuable, I think. But also the program with the master classes that Tim told you about, they were really informative. Okay, it was a tough program with 5 intensive days, but then again, when we got home and sorted out the main information from all the classes, it was really good to have done that. My recommendation is for all of you guys that are considering this bootcamp next year, is to maybe try to beat 2 colleagues on this event, because then you get even more value, because there's a lot of people to meet, there's a lot of things to understand. You have all these sponsor or partners that also are of great interest if you considering establishing in UK. And I can also confirm that we are still convinced that the Yorkshire district is the right way for a Nordic company to get into UK. I think it's much more difficult to try getting through London or one of these really large cities. We revisited Leeds in March. My colleague Thomas Ims was there for a couple of days, which was just to get confirmation of the networking we had already done. We have then afterwards established a membership with Nexus, so that we have the possibility to be at Nexus, the university, have meeting space, and yeah, and Nexus is in the middle of this hospital region, so it's very centrally placed. We are going back in August, and our main goal will be to look further into the innovation pop-up, if that's the right place for us to take the next step. In this period, from January until now, we have got a very good position in Sweden. So we have had to spend a lot of our time on the Swedish market. But then again, when we go back to UK in August, I think we will be there for up to a week just to reconfirm all the connections and try to make our path the right path to the next step. We got a warm welcome, and I think we have much of the same way of thinking and doing things in Yorkshire and as we find it from the Norway side that we are. So I thank you very much for giving us all this good information in January, and stay in touch with us. I think it's easy to stay in touch with you guys in Leeds, and we're just looking forward to making the next steps. And I'll also will be open for questions from other companies considering participating in the bootcamp. At least it's not an expensive ticket to get all this knowledge and get all this network. It's really valuable. Okay.
Thank you, Stein Olga. Thank you so much. And some very kind words, which I'm sure me and the whole team really appreciate that. So thank you.
That's
could
nice.
you
Well deserved.
could you pop your email potentially in the chat just so people can send you through any questions?
Yeah.
If you're happy.
I'll do that.
I'll also include the emails in the email coming out tomorrow to everyone who signed up for this event. Yeah.
Yeah, Therese, you can provide my email.
I can do that. Yeah.
Very nice.
Thank you. And yeah, just I guess an apology that we've run slightly over, but a thank you from me to all of our speakers and for everybody today for attending. We're really excited to sort of launch the next Propel Bootcamp, and so the next steps. So please fill in that form in the chat if you're interested. And we're going to put together a webinar again together with our colleagues from Norwegian Smart Care Cluster and the other clusters probably in September. But we will stay in contact. And Therese, I don't know if you want to just say a couple of words to finish off.
Just that you'll all receive an email tomorrow where we just repeat a bit of the information. You'll get a copy of the recording and also of the presentations that we will share with you. So yeah, just reach out to any of us if you have any questions. We're here to help you. So yeah, thank you so much for leading this webinar, Ferdinand.
Thank you. Thank you, Jacqueline. Thank you, everyone, for talking today, and have a good rest of your day.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.